Hello everyone and welcome back to my Hardcore Minecraft series. Today what we're going to do is we're going to go out into the world and gather one of all of the renewable plants. So that's going to be all of the saplings, kelp, cactus, sugarcane, bamboo, things like that. And what we're going to do with that, next episode is we're going to make a little bit of a garden and a bunch of farms. And that's going to be our goal. So first things first, what we are going to need is a boat, because most of what the world is traversable by is by water. We're going to have to cross some oceans, and we're also going to need travel mostly by a river. Especially, we're going to be using a chest boat, because we're not going to get bundles until later in the episode, and we're going to need the extra inventory space. So here we're going to crafting a boat and a chest, and then we're going to squish them together to make a chest boat. And there we go. There is our chest boat. So our first matter of business is going to be go and get some spruce wood from this tree over here. We already have birch and oak close to our house, so spruce is going to be the first real thing that we gather. And yeah, we've cut down this tree. We're going to cut down another tree, just to make sure we get enough saplings. Now, one thing that might be a little bit of a problem is that jungle trees drop less saplings, so that might be a problem in terms of renewing them, but honestly, that's a bit of a problem that we will cross when we get to it. And we've got our spruce saplings, so off we go into the ice. There's an ice spikes biome right next to our base, so that'll be useful when we're building ice highways. And it is lagging a little, for that I'm sorry. Computer's not very good. Alright, and we're gonna stop by this igloo and just grab an extra bed, because this journey is going to take multiple days. This one doesn't have the little experimental basement thing, so we're not going to do that. We're just going to take the bed. Yep, just taking the bed, and we're going off. Alright, and here we are. We found ourselves a village, and we're going to grab ourselves some sugarcane. Sorry about the lag again. And we're going to spend the night in this village before we move on with our journey. Just because we don't want monsters to spawn. We don't have very much armor yet. We actually have none. So we're going to be sleeping through the night instead of fighting off monsters. Alright, and from this village, we're going to get the primary crops of wheat, potatoes, and carrots. We're not going to get beets yet, and the rest of the crops I tend to consider secondary crops. So, yeah. So, right now we've got spruce saplings, wheat, carrots, and potatoes. So now we're just going to continue on our way. Oh, another thing we're going to want to be gathering is all of the tall flowers, because from what I've seen, those can actually be infinitely bone mealed, and those will be really useful. Well, I don't know if they'll be useful, but I will. Alright, speaking of flowers, here we are finding rose bushes. We're gonna get 4 of all of them just because I feel like 4 is a nice number that'll get us set up well. And then, here we are. Out in the ocean again. Kelp is really useful because you can use it in super smelters. I think you can both smelt it for XP, and you can use it as a fuel if you dry it and turn it into blocks. So, yeah, we've got the kelp, and interestingly enough, here as we're going through the ocean, we're actually going to find 2 of the ocean monuments really close to each other. So that's the first one down there. I apologize for the lag again. Hopefully that'll sort itself out at some point. So there's the first one, and I took screenshots so I know where both of them are. So there's one, and there was also another one. Actually, at the end of the video, we're also going to encounter one on the way home, And that one's going to be a lot closer to our house. So I'm going to be turning that one into the Guardian Farm. And here I am. The video's frozen again, so I'm just drowning. But here is where we ended up getting the lilac trees. Not trees. They're bushes in Minecraft, but I think they're kind of trees in real life. I'm going to be honest, the line between trees and bushes is a very thin line. And it's not really worth talking about, but bushes, trees, we got lilacs. And we're on the road again. And here are the peonies. Peonies. I was about to call them pink roses. That's not what they are. They're peonies. Oh, right. Yep. And there he goes. We're going to try to fill up this hole, but it didn't give us enough dirt. And this is far away enough from our house that it doesn't Well, that's as good as it's going to get. Time to hit the road again. Let's put the leaf litter on the ground, just because I don't want it. I'm sure it'll come in useful later for some kind of decorating, but if that's the case, I can just come and get it when it becomes relevant. I don't think it's going to be too hard. And here we are, having found a shipwreck. So we're just going to quickly loot the ship. Over here in this chest, we found some feathers and maps. And then over here, we're finding some pumpkins, potatoes, and moss. Moss is actually really helpful because it actually gives us two kinds of saplings that would be really hard to get otherwise, and that's the azaleas. You can get those from moss, so that'll save us from some inventory space. And those are the last of the chests, then I'm going to swim around and double check. Alright, and off we go to find the buried treasure. And here we find the buried treasure. It did take me a little bit to find it, just because of how these things are. As you can see, I've dug a giant hole in the beach. As you do. Yeah, so for future, I'd avoid trying to find it with just the map. You can use the 9x9 trick, which is where you look for 9 on the chunk part of the F3 menu. That's just the best way to find it. Using the map will get you close, but you'll just end up digging a giant hole in the beach, and that's... If you want to dig a giant hole in the beach, knock yourself out, but this is just a faster way to find it. Alright, and here we found ourselves with an ocean ruin. These ruins have drowned in them, which is why I don't usually bother with them. But since this one is above water and in part of a shallow part of the ocean, I am going to bother with it, because it's easier to fight the drowned in the shallower parts of the ocean. And we are going to find a fishing rod. That might not seem terribly good. Alright, and here we are finding sunflowers. Sunflowers are my favorite of the tall flowers because they're yellow. And fun fact with the tall flowers, with the roses and the sunflowers, you get two of the primary colors, that being red and yellow. The last one you would need is blue, which I think you can get from cornflowers that probably grow in most grassy biomes. Don't quote me on that. And then with primary colors, theoretically you can make all the colors. I don't think that's quite how it works in Minecraft, but still, it's kind of satisfying to get all of the primary colors. And here we are finding an acacia tree. These trees aren't as useful to me specifically, because I like to use the darker ones. But I'm gonna take them anyway. I've used them before, and they're very pretty, and I don't know what block pellets I'm going to use yet. So yeah, we're gonna be just taking everything. Taking all of the trees. I'm not sure if this helps or hurts the sapling drop chance, but I'm impatient and I'm gonna do it anyway. And we're just gonna get like one more maybe. think 3 will do. There we go. We have 3 now. So 3 acacia saplings. I think acacia saplings are usually fine. It's the jungle ones that are messy. Speaking of jungle trees, here we are in the jungle. There are a couple things in the jungle I want to get, such as bamboo, jungle saplings, melons, and cocoa beans. Those are all super useful. Melons. And here we have a jungle sapling. I think we're going to get a few more because they don't drop very easily. I think I'm going to try to harvest them naturally, but if that doesn't work, what I might end up doing is downloading a data pack that makes them drop at the same rate as other saplings. We'll figure it out. And here we are at another shipwreck. This one was mostly treasure, which is going to be really helpful because I'm frankly scared to go mining down in the caves. I've died like that before, and I'm not wanting to risk it again. And here we found the dark oak forest. Here we're going to get dark oaks and mushrooms. You can get mushrooms in other places, but it's just easier to get them from the giant ones. I didn't mention mushrooms on the initial list because I forgot, but yeah, we're getting mushrooms. That was always the plan. Alright, we're going to grab this red mushroom. We're going to use an axe to take it all down, and it's going to give us lots of mushrooms. And here we are doing the same with a brown mushroom. All the mushrooms belong to us. Alright, and now we're going to start chopping down the dark oak trees. We're going to have to chop down a couple because I don't think the leaves decay properly unless you take out all of the connecting trees. And this is actually going to cause a problem because it's going to make us end up with a lot of wood, and I'm one of those people who doesn't like to throw anything away. A little bit of a spoiler. The solution I'm going to find is to craft all the wooden chests. Because then technically I'm not wasting it, but it takes up a lot less storage space. We're also going to chop down this oak tree just to have the saplings on hand. We already have this at home, but I suppose I just wanted to see them all together in my inventory, and that's why I'm also taking down this. Now we've encountered a little bit of a problem. I have more stuff than I can carry home in my chest boat. So what we're going to do is we're going to make ourselves some armor, and we're going to go fight some spiders. Because I believe I have some leather, and if we get string from the spiders, we can craft that into bundles, and we can use that to carry more stuff. And that's going to be our plan. So we're going to wait for spiders to spawn, and then we're going to kill them for their string. This guy is not a spider, but we will kill him anyway. The only good zombie is a dead zombie. Alright, so we actually found no spiders last night. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go check out that shipwreck. So we're just gonna swim over there. And look who we found on our swim over. It's some Nautilus. Look at those cutie patooties. Look at those cutie patooties. Look at them with their round little shells. Look at them. We found no string at the shipwreck, and to be honest, I'm not even sure string spawns in shipwrecks. But, I mean, what am I gonna do? I need to find string before I can move on, and we will fish for the string. We will fish for the string. We're going to spend our days fishing and our nights looking for spiders in the hopes of finding string to make bundles so that I can actually travel again. Could I travel again if I was just willing to get rid of some stuff? Yes. Good news, I found a spider. Bad news, I found a skeleton. So we're gonna run. Well, running away, I found another spider, who I successfully slew. And now we have string, and we can make, like, a singular bundle. Hopefully that will be enough for us to move on. It was enough for us to move on, and now we are on the rivers again. And now we have found a cherry blossom grove. I think these are the prettiest trees because they're pink. I'm a simple girl. I like pink. I like pretty things. Nothing wrong with that. And here we go, chopping down the trees so we can collect their saplings. We've already collected a few. And actually, I've noticed that cherry blossoms seem to drop a lot of saplings. I'm not sure if it's just because they have more leaves or if there's actually, they have a higher drop rate. That'll be interesting to figure out. I'm also going to grab a few of these, little flower petals. I don't know if you can bone meal them to get more, but if you can, I would like to. And we're just going to continue on our way. Here is a pan of lava. I didn't end up making enough bundles last time, so now we're here having the exact same problem. So I'm going to organize this chest for a little bit. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to get attacked by this spider. I'm actually glad I got attacked by a spider because spiders drop string, which I can use to make more bundles, so I can move on again. And finally, luck turns my way when I find 2 spiders that aren't surrounded by skeletons. Honestly, even when they're not riding the spiders, the skeletons seem to hang out with the spiders. And once I've got back to my little area, there's a skeleton over there, which is why I'm hiding in the water. But eventually, I was able to continue because the skeleton burned up in the sun, and I was able to make my bundles and continue on foot. I needed to continue on foot because the river's actually run its course, and if I want to continue searching for plants, I need to walk now. I found another village, and there is only one thing that I want from these fine people, and that is a single beet seed. You only really need 1 seed for these crops because they produce multiple seeds upon harvest, so getting just 1 is fine. I also found a ruined portal and snagged some gold tools. Now, tools you actually can't put in the bundles because they're not stackable. But we're figuring it out. Now, at this point, I'd found all of the crops and all of the saplings except for 2. Pale wood and mangroves. So I decided that I would get the seeds from my world and just use chunk base. Because, frankly, I don't want to run around for hours looking for these and not finding them, so I'm just going to use a tool that'll make it easy for myself. And using this method, I found a pale garden. Now in the pale garden, I'm going to collect pale wood, pale moss, and the vines, because honestly, they're pretty. Well, they're not pretty, but they have a vibe. So we're gonna take them. And here we are with our saplings. So now we can move on from here and go and find the mangroves. Fun fact about the mangroves, they were actually halfway across the world. But I cut out most of the travel time because I figured you didn't need to see me row a boat for half an hour. That's not fun, so I'm just gonna cut to me finding the mangrove swamp and claiming, their weird little sapling things. I don't know what they're called off the top of my head, but they, hang from the trees instead of dropping from the leaves, which I think is neat. I love it when plants do weird stuff. So I collected a few of these, and then, once we had 4, we were ready to have our journey home. And as I said earlier, we actually encountered another ocean monument on our way home. Now I'm taking a different route home because once I found everything, I could just go straight home because my house is right at spawn. And yeah, I found another ocean monument. Now this is probably going to be the one I build farms at because I think it's closer than the other 2, but I am going to double check that. And now, at long last, we're home. There's the house. And we're just gonna take all our things and put them in our chests. And I will see you